Indeed, Ohini Subani and Siya Papa. And if that's the case, then definitely we are royalty, and that is why my name is Nana Abena. So this is the morning update on TV XYZ, and as always, I am here with my able co-host Eric Ahianyo. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Abena. How's your weekend?
It was good, and I think I saw you during the holiday. We had something cooked for you for International Women's Day. We cooked something for you.
We had fun.
Yes.
Unfortunately, some of you could not join us.
Yes.
But I will share that at the tail end of the show.
It was amazing. Yes.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
At Muguchi.
Yes.
and what happened?
Yeah, I have my mask. Where is it?
We spoke to Dr. Suzanne Edu Amankwa. It was to commemorate International Women's Day. She's an achiever. In fact, until we got that close to read or hear her tell her story, I took her to be an ordinary politician. After I was walking away from that facility, I felt there are so many intelligent women or Ghanaians who may be associated with smaller political parties, but we need such brains to be part of our governance structure. True.
And so we need to think carefully when we are voting. We need to start listening to politicians, get closer, so we know who will help us and who wouldn't.
And she said something. I have daughters, and it's inspiring that she grew up in a home where children were given the power to decide, and by so doing, it helped them to grow up, and it became part of her life. And she said, there's one thing people don't know. Many people assume that when you are an intellectual or you are blessed to be at the top in society, your husband may be worried. She said it is about choosing the right man who will understand you, and not the man who may be scared that you are walking. In fact, when I was young, I never liked beautiful women.
Why?
My problem is that when I'm walking with her on the street and somebody is looking at her, I'm scared. I'm scared to snatch her.
I think there was a time when teenagers or ladies were also moving towards, I'm sorry, but they were moving towards guys that were not cute because they felt there was no competition. Interestingly, the guys that are not cute, when they realized that trend, they started misbehaving. And so the heartbreak is like 4 times.
Okay, so that's an experience. Okay, that's a good experience.
Not from me.
Are you sure? Well, this morning, a lot will be happening in this country.
Oh, yes.
The president will be delivering his State of the Nation address. Not his, the State of the Nation address. What are your expectations? So many things have happened between 2020 and now, post-COVID. What do you expect the president to say? And then I think later on Friday, it's now emerging that instead of Dr. Baumia or Alan Tramanting, Osei Che Mensah Bonsu, the majority leader, will be presenting the 2021 budget statement.
Interesting. Now, before I move on to some of my headlines, over the weekend and during the holiday, Adum reported that the 2 Nigerians who were suspects are now accused of the Takoradi kidnappings and were sentenced to death.
And there is also, the death brings to mind a very sad story.
Right.
Yesterday, we heard that 20 students got drowned.
Yeah.
There are conflicting reports. Some say 15 were retrieved. Others are saying 12. Maybe for the sake of being very careful, let's leave it at 12. 12 students drowned, GHS students, primary students. This at the time when government has said there should be no reveling at the beaches. So the question is, did they anticipate that every year, 6th March or Easter or Christmas, people go to that particular spot to swim? And these are children, and the testimony from witnesses at the beach, especially the fisher folk, said they only saw bodies being washed ashore. That was when it dawned on them. I've listened to the DC for the area, I've listened to the police commander, and all of them are saying that that particular spot where the children went to swim is closed. But to get as many as 40, 50 children at one spot having fun would mean that somebody promoted that event. And so they went there and blocked. And we are hearing that some of the children, in fact 3 or 4, belong to one family, and in another one, about 3 or 4 bodies who were also discovered also belong to one family. It's a sad story.
It is.
It's a very, very sad story.
Also, another a person was decapitated and burnt on the Achimota-Tesano highway as well.
And a lot of things are happening. When we come back after this short break, we'll tell you what the newspapers have reported, and then the rest of the show will continue. Welcome back. This is Morning Update on TV XYZ. Anytime we come here, we also remind you where you can watch us on social media. That's Facebook and YouTube and other handles. Wiz.tv is our partner, and that's where you can also follow us live this morning as we started at 6:30 till 9 o'clock. I have 3 newspapers with me. Abena, how many papers do you have?
I have 2.
2?
Yes.
What is the Daily Graphic
and
reporting?
Chronicle. Daily Graphic is actually reporting the story you touched on, and that is 20 drowned in Apam. You wanted to stick to 12.
In fact, Ghanaian Times sticks to 12. Our reporter on the ground also spoke about 15 bodies recovered. But the story is that some children got drowned. What else?
Also, it says here that gender equality shared responsibility. Now, this is coming from Samira Baumia. And as we stated earlier before the commercial, yesterday we cooked something on International Women's Day. We spoke to Dr. Mrs. Susan Edu Amankwa, who gave us a lot of insight about some of the things that, trust me, you didn't know. So you might want to stick and stay. When we get to the social segment, we will talk about that. Now, quickly, speaking of social segment, that is probably brought to you by Health Alert Clinic. I say this all the time. If you have any chronic diseases, just walk in there and they will take care of you. They won't just take care of you. They will follow through. So they will call you. They will check up on you just to see if the treatment is indeed working as they expected it to. Not forgetting our #1 sponsor, X Natural Mineral Water, simply natural. If you're thinking of distributing, we'll put some numbers on the screen for you, so do not go nowhere. Speaking of numbers, please join the conversation as you have always been doing. So send your contributions through our WhatsApp, please. WhatsApp. Not text, not call. WhatsApp on 0556999999 and keep the conversations alive. Eric, so what do you have?
I have the Ghanaian Times. Because you spoke about women, there's an editorial on page 4 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. There are 2 paragraphs which are of interest to me. One is about women empowerment. They're talking about women's rights and equality. And then they are also talking about, in fact, the last paragraph says, therefore, Ghanaian Times wishes to appeal to the establishment that in spite of the gains so far made, more of women's affairs need to be tackled to have more women in leadership positions in politics and other areas of national life. Therefore, the International Women's Day should not be just a celebration, but for reflection on what to do to make the world a better place. So the question is, do you think the woman in leadership position is actually the mentor that you want to see? And the other question is, are they mentoring young girls well enough, or the well-endowed, the privileged, because of the positions they hold, are limiting their stretch to people around them and not the choco woman? I'm not suggesting choco women are down, but we all agree it's one of the deprived communities. If you go to rural Ghana, I have been to almost every part of this country before. If you go to rural Ghana, which of our women in leadership positions, be it politics, academia, religion, whatever, are actually going there to empower women, to make them feel like, look, we have a country to build. More than 51% of women who form the population of this country, and we want to drive you along. I don't see that. I don't, but I know Abena want to talk.
Yes.
What do you want to say?
Because there is also the fact that women are barely represented in higher positions, and so to be able to create the impact that we want to see, it might take a while. The reason why you see men's own in such large quantities is because you have taken over and you make us seem like we are the weaker vessels, but truly we actually are the stronger, and we do very well in power. So give us the chance.
I totally disagree. I want to provoke your thoughts this morning. Women in Ghana, are they trained to always receive, make everything fall on them on silver platter?
No.
Are we not overblowing this issue about women, gender? What about the boy child? And many boy children are the ones who grow to take care of their families. And the question is, are they getting equal support? If you're a woman,
so I think,
ask you.
Eric,
yes?
This is something that needs to be looked at on both sides. So when you're bringing the girl child up, you let her understand that, I mean, it's okay to have shared responsibilities, but do not drum it into the girl child's mind that your place is the kitchen. You need to learn how to cook, else your husband will leave you or they'll bring you back home. These are things they tell you as a daughter growing up. Those times when we were using charcoal to cook, if you're fanning the fire and the little fire starts coming out and you run, they'll tell you this is how they'll bring you back home. So you need to stay and get burnt by those.
As for this tradition,
you see, because you didn't even experience that, but I'm sure a lot of women out there did experience that. So the men also, when you're training them, let them understand certain things, that they should allow their women to function. If you have an independent woman, appreciate her, because she adds value to you. If you're not around and something happens to your children, you know that she would handle it. She wouldn't wait for you to come because maybe she cannot speak English and so she can't move into... And even being independent doesn't necessarily, have to do with being able to speak English. But a woman who is capable will move to places, will move mountains, basically. So let us go.
Have you finished?
Yes.
Ghanaian Times on its front page. I spoke about 12 children drowning, others missing at Apam Beach. And then we have the face of the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, who will be delivering the State of the Nation address. And Ghana joined International Women's Day. All these are captured on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. 119 suspected criminals smoked out in Accra. So that's how it will appear on the front page of the Ghanaian Times if you grab a copy this morning. The back page says 3 share nut processing centers inaugurated in Kansina, Nankana West District. So this is how you will find it on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. But now let me do the business and financial.
Let me quickly put this out there. Now, apparently, there have been some power outages during, I think, mostly Sunday. There was a lot. It kept going back and forth. But the GridCo is saying that they will be working on some of the lines around the N1, N2, and N4 highways. And so there will be some sort of vehicular
Yes, and for those of you who don't know N1, N2, N3, and so on, it starts from Malam Junction, the stretch through Fiesta Royal, through the Tama, that's Akwaje interchange, to the end of the Tama motorway. That's on Thursday.
Yeah.
There'll be what I understand is that the transmission lines, they will transfer them to other electric poles. And that's what they'll be doing between morning,
9 a.m.
3 p.m. For other stretches, so they'll not do it at the same time. What you need to look out for, if you come from Pram all the way through the Tama motorway to Accra, or you are moving from any of the communities springing up on that stretch or towards that Flower Road, look out for the road signs. That's what EC's exposure to pay or take clauses could derail upstream aspirations. That's what the Institute of Energy Security is saying. And we have COVID, vaccination, and all the stories captured on the front page of the Business and Financial Times. So look at it on the front page. AGA constructs 1.3 kilometer asphalt road in Obuasi. That's good news, corporate social responsibility. Abena, these are the stories I have for you on the front and the back page of the Business and Financial Times.
Well, my last paper is the Chronicle, and you mentioned this earlier. It says Osei Mensah Bonsu to present 2021 budget to Parliament. Now, also court orders rerun of House of Chiefs election. And one on COVID, it says that post-COVID-19 economic recovery is government's top priority. This is coming from Kojo Opo Nkrumah. Now, Secondly, Takrade network of churches demands proscription of homosexuality in Ghana. This is a subject that you are very passionate about.
Very, very passionate.
If we leave you,
no, it's not about leaving me. I am happy that at least we have 8 members of Parliament who have been very bold and have pledged that they will sponsor a bill in Parliament to criminalize that act, or those who promote it, those who feel happy that we are discussing it. At least we would want to take on some of those members of Parliament, not to just say it on the floor, but to walk the talk by sponsoring that bill as early as possible. You know, last week when the debate happened on the floor, the MP for Boku Central tried to please a section of the public by suggesting that, yes, I am against LGBTQ, but they have rights. They can talk about it. It's just like a group forming to speak about issues that they can talk about. And they screwed him on social media. I've seen other publications where he's saying, well, the law must bite. The question is, if you are not interested and you believe that you're not interested, don't try to assume that you are the only good man out there. I totally disagree with him, and I was very happy when he was fried alive on social media.
Fried alive?
Yes, fried alive.
See why I said if we leave him,
yes,
he will go above and beyond. But you see, this is an issue that we should be looking at how to curb from the grassroots, and not just about criminalizing.
From the grassroots.
What have they said? What they are going to do about
the question is that, look, let's put everything aside. Everybody in Ghana who matters is saying that, look, we don't sow seeds that will come back to haunt us tomorrow.
Right.
And so if it is bad, it is bad. The whites can do whatever they want. But if you are proud of where you come from and you have common sense, you ask yourself, is this normal? If it is not normal, seek medical attention.
No, but if you allow the person to grow, and this is why I'm saying we should curb it from grassroots, meaning that we should tackle it from infancy.
Yes, that will be tackled. But the conversation beyond that, out. The conversation beyond that, out. Wisdom Hedejome will tell you what Ghana wants to hear at 7 o'clock.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back to the morning update on TVXYZ. My name is Nana Abena Sewa. Before the break, we did mention a lot in the newspaper headlines I reviewed with Eric Ahiano. Now we have Wisdom Hedejome to give us details of some of the headlines that we discussed. Esagoma. Hey. See, I'm learning.
Yes.
I want to be multilingual.
Esagoma, you said means, do you understand?
Yes.
So I was wondering what you said, that he asking
if you understand, I was actually going to ask I was going to say good morning. Or how are you doing?
Okay, so F1. Hello, Indi now.
F1.
Yeah.
It's easier. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so I'll be telling you about that tragic incident that happened in Apam, where we understand that a search party is still ongoing, and that the whole community of Apam and its neighboring environs has been thrown into a state of mourning and shock over the death of some 15 students. We are told.
To stick to 12.
Very, very sad. There's also news about some 3 police officers dying over the weekend, which is also fueling suspicions about the state of fear among the serving officers. I'll be telling you about that. And then also, we do know that the president is presenting the State of the Nation address. That's his last. Yes, in his first term. He's presenting that to Parliament. I'll be telling you about that. And that there's also an issue about budget statement. Kenneth Ofori-Atta will not be presenting.
Why are you smiling about the budget statement?
Budget statement, because a lot of things happen. Because you and I, our life mostly depend on budget, and so it's very important that we focus on what the statement will be talking about, and then also we can also have our own lives depending on that, such that you and I, whatever government is going to say at the end of the day, will be of interest to us, and so that's the reason why we should be.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many hour crap.
Sure.
Check, auto checks, check, auto checks, check.
Emission, check,
auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Auto checks, auto checks.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks. Check.
AutoChecks. Your safety, our priority.
Check. Auto checks.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yes.
It be old cargo. Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always drink fresh, natural, mix, mineral, water.
You still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
We do apologize for the short break. Now, Wisdom Hedejome is here to give us details of the headlines. Take us away, Wisdom.
Many thanks for your time. We'll do straight to the stories. And the search party is still looking for the rest of 20 children who mysteriously drowned in the river near the Apam beach over the weekend. The news has drawn the village into a state of mourning amidst blame game over whose negligence resulted in the tragedy. The children, mainly students, are said to have gathered from Akwamu, Mumford and Apam. Here is more in this report I found. Conflicting report about how the sad incident happened. Some fisher folks blamed the victims who went on swimming expedition for venturing into a dangerous section of the river. There is still uncertainty about how many children are involved, but TVX Swaziland news sources say 15 bodies were retrieved as of yesterday afternoon, and as many as 35 other children were saved. Witnesses say they got alarmed when some of the bodies were swept ashore. The news attracted scores, including Ansha's parent, who joined the MCE and security officers to the scene. Power FM's Central Regional Correspondent Nana Teria, who gave us updates, said among the dead are 5 senior high school students.
15 people confirmed dead. The ages are between 10 up to 16 years. 5 people are senior high school students at Apam Senior High School, and the rest are the basic schools. They said there are 4 people from the same family, that's Ansona Ebusia, from the same Mumford. And so there are 2 senior high school children from the same family, and the other 2, they are basic, they are all from the same family. We met at the DC of the area, Bismarck Inkum, and the MP, Richard Jan, and the national coordinator to rescue some direct people. They are very injured. They sent them to Winneba Hospital and the Apam District Hospital. 20 are the Winneba Hospital and the Apam District Hospital.
TVX Swaziland news sources say that section of the Apam River has been inaccessible to the public for some time now, and it was surprising to hear the children chose to have fun there. Apam District Police Commander DSP Moses Osakano, who is leading police investigations, also expressed surprise.
We were shocked. It was a shock to us. We heard it yesterday night. Yes, in the night. I heard only one. So I thought it's a normal thing. You see, sometimes you'll be there, they report a case that we call for another one. But it's still, third party, they are around. They are going around. According to them, themselves, they did not see them. In fact, the main route, they had to call for another, they almost almost your mark of far. Bakan. No, yeah, it was a shock.
Now, in another disturbing development, 3 more police officers have died. The mysterious death, all within 24 hours, are fueling panic and superstition among serving officers. Deep Throat sources say the deceased, one Sergeant Jemima Edu, Sergeant Ajay Kumi, and Chief Inspector Godfred Osei Atunku, assigned to different stations, died last weekend between March 6 and 7. Sergeant Jemima Edu of the Tesano Police is said to have complained of chest pains and died at the police hospital where she was rushed for treatment. The other officer, Sergeant Ajay Kumi of the Aveima Police Station, collapsed on duty and was pronounced dead at the Roman Catholic Hospital at Bato, where he was rushed. The third, Chief Inspector Godfred Osei Atunku, who until his demise was the Chamba Station officer, died at Bembela Government Hospital. While the service is not immediately connecting the sad deaths, some officers are raising eyebrows after 3 officers recently committed suicide. Investigations are ongoing. Let's go to Parliament now, where the much publicized State of the Nation address tomorrow has now been shifted from this morning to 1 p.m. The notice, in a statement issued by the Public Affairs Directorate, said it's as a result of the business of the House. TVXYZ News sources has learnt Cabinet met over the weekend, and the focus was on the key issues the President's address must cover following the polarized state of the country and the 2021 budget to be presented on Friday.
Comes after the swearing in of 28 appointees by Parliament and Nana Akufo-Addo's affirmation as duly elected president. The meeting, according to a tweet by Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, among other things, focused on the State of the Nation address and the 2021 budget statement. TVXYZ News sources say Cabinet reviewed the ballooning public debt, new areas to explore following donor fatigue as COVID-19 continues to ravage many economies, revenue mobilization and possible tax reviews, outstanding promises in the roads, health and agri sectors, industrialization and security threats. Public expectation is high as experts project challenges in servicing debts in the energy sector, particularly outstanding payments to contractors and the completion of projects started before the 2020 elections. Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah hints that decisions taken will reflect in the State of the Nation address and the 2021 budget statement on Friday. Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu has already served notice the House will not countenance any breach of protocol. Mr. Mensah Bonsu, who was presenting this week's business statement, said all MPs must be seated at least 1 hour in the tent erected at the forefront of Parliament before the President arrives by 1 p.m. Meanwhile, Trade Minister Alan Kyerematen is expected to present the 2021 budget this Friday. The news has raised concern about the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who left for the U.S. on February 14 for what his office described as post-Corona cabinet meeting.
And so we do know that the Finance Minister will not be presenting the budget statement. Earlier, we were told that the Trade Minister Alan Kojo Kyerematen will be doing that. But now we can confirm that the Osei Mensah Bonsu, MP for Swami, will be the one to present the 2021 budget statement to Parliament on Friday. Now, public opinion is already divided ahead of the budget and the State of the Nation address. Some commercial drivers and a section of the public hope their new policies directed at alleviating the public plight of the masses will strongly be convinced.
The bill they bring, I suffered, they bring 1.2, 1.5, and things are not going on. So we have to do something about the light bill and the water bill.
First, maybe I change no. Some crowd 10 city crowd, many member, enemy yet me the Diamanasu. I also see some crowd to me 30 Ghana crap, many minimum yamba, and so yet.
This year, I pay to 718. Yes, I buy over back a say, on Shannon Petrus, Petro, my until so my cacra. If this is a dropping quay, who for be no charging our so I don't know charges I never down no Aquafa, Ukada, no the call. So I could have fed the edgemina. Yes, no shame until Sumaya cacra. Sama Edman ID, Petro Necosro, Gas Cosro, the Biabo Ecosro, into Ocean until Sumaya near Bread.
And still on matters and issues to be presented to Parliament. Now let's focus on the public outcry over attempt by LGBTQI promoters to push their agenda through the public space. Now 8 MPs have now publicly pledged to sponsor a bill through Parliament to criminalize it.
The pledge, which followed a heated debate on the floor last week, may be the beginning of a serious effort to bring to rest attempt by LGBTQI promoters and their sponsors to tap into loopholes in the existing law. The move by the MPs who intend sponsoring a private members' bill to criminalizing LGBT or related activities in Ghana has been hailed by a large section of the public, including the clergy and Muslim clerics, CSOs and traditional leaders. Key among them are MP for Ningo Prampram, Sam Nate George, who has extended his threat to MPs who openly support the agenda, asking their constituents to demand their removal. MP for Asen South in Tim Fojo, who is also a Reverend Minister. MP for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. Reverend Helen Adjoan Toso, MP for Krachi West. MP for Ho West, Emmanuel Bejra. Kweku Asante Boateng, who is the MP for Asante Akim South, MP for Asante Akim North, Andy Apiakubi, and Francesca Oteng Mensah, MP for Kwabre East. MP for Ningo Prampram, who announced their resolve in Parliament, described LGBTQI as a complete attack on the culture and tradition of the people of Ghana, as well as the violation of existing laws. MP for Boko Central, Mahama Ayariga, is kicking against the open threat on LGBTQI advocate, describing it as a human rights abuse. His comment has, however, provoked public anger and direct attack on his personality.
Let's do some politics now, and now to the camp of the NDC. There is already large public fear matters arising from what the grassroots does describe as poor handling of the post-2020 election dispute, which has exacerbated the MPs who some suspect have been compromised. The party leadership is asking for circumspection to prevent the anger from blowing out of their faces.
The anger sweeping through various branches of the party has been fueled by MPs whose defiance of directives by the NDC's National Executive Committee after its emergency meeting on some of Nana Akufo-Addo's appointees. It comes amidst suspicions within the rank and file of the party about what has been described as Agenda 2024 faction and fears that the NPP could exploit it to disintegrate the NDC. The grassroots base describe the approval of the nominees they directly hold responsible for the pre- and post-election violence and killings, closure of NDC radio stations, perjury and alleged corruption deals like the Japa, PDS and Kelny GVG as a slap on their faces. Others strongly suspect money may have changed hands and are threatening to pay the MPs back, while some are contemplating bowing out of the party.
Yeah, your party, no. Your leaders so say party, no. Now your grassroots, you need so they will say, your MPs, no. We are very careful. And yes, sir, party will be laughing. And this is for demonstrations against the woman. You don't come up consensus in Nala. I don't know, so I can hear also why I was on Copenhagen in our teacher. No trouble, Mamma Pimenta. You may make a joke. I don't know what say, Yakomasa. Sure. Oh, Castle on the Samba, you will be. So, what you don't decision, you don't take it at your.
The agitations shot up by a notch higher when the National Communications Officer, Sami Jenfi, launched attacks on the Speaker of Parliament and the minority leadership. NDC MPs have not taken it lightly. TVXYZ News has learned some minority MPs fumed at their caucus meeting last Friday, but the group stopped short of taking Sami on directly to prevent the crisis from escalating. In a brief statement signed by the leader of the caucus, Haruna Idrisu, the minority reaffirmed its commitment to the party. It admitted lapses but said they have not been and will never be for sale. It appealed for cool heads to prevail, even as the leadership at all levels continue to offer direction. In a related development, the Functional Executive Committee of the party has also deliberated on the growing tension within the party and is also appealing for circumspection to prevent the situation from degenerating. The NDC leadership assured members of consultation processes to expeditiously deal with the challenges.
Away from that, and SHS1 students who were supposed to report to their various schools this Wednesday have some breathing space. The GS has postponed the reopening day to next week, Thursday, March 18.
Parents whose wards have been successfully placed had barely 1 week to prepare. Some concerned Ghanaians flagged the short notice, especially after the long suspense by the Computerized School Placement Center. but the Ghana Education Service has changed the date from March 10th to 18th March through Sunday 21st March. According to the statement signed by the head of public relations, Cassandra Chum Ampofu, the decision is to make room for students yet to be enrolled ample time to do their self-placement and for the various public senior high, vocational and technical school management to prepare to receive them. The GES statement also noted that second and third year SHS students are to begin their mid-semester break from yesterday, March 8th to this Thursday, 11th March. It, however, said the mid-semester break is not compulsory and parents who wish to have their ward stay are permitted.
Now, if you're a motorist and you apply the Tema motorway stretch and the Malam Junction through to Akwaje interchange to the Tema end of the motorway often, then please begin to look for alternative route beginning next Thursday. Now, a statement issued by the Ghana Highway Authorities advising motorists to apply alternative route in accordance with the advertised period to affect section of the road to be cut off. Now, these specifics are the N1, that's the Tema Aflao Highway before the traffic lights at the end of the TT Brothers Junction from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Thursday, and the Tema Akosombo stretch near the newly constructed overhead walkway from midday to 3 p.m. Now, the statement also says specific dates for subsequent works from the Fiesta Royal Traffic Light Junction to the Okponglo Junction on the N4 will be provided in due course. Motorists are advised to follow traffic diversion signs at strategic sections of the N1, N2, and N4 highways. Now, before we go, more people are dying from coronavirus. The death toll increased from 629 to 647 over the weekend, with total number of active cases now 4,886. According to the Ghana Health Service data, 24 patients are in critical condition, while 72 other cases are severe. The development comes with mixed feelings, even as government continues to enjoy public support towards the ongoing vaccination exercise. As of Saturday, official data indicated over 174,000 had successfully taken their jabs over the AstraZeneca vaccines donated through the COVAX program. Of this, 162,541 beneficiaries, 82,601 are males and 79,940 females. According to statistics, Accra received the highest of 104,174, followed by Ashanti region with 55,141, and only 3,226 people, mainly frontline staff and prominent Ghanaians in the central region, have been vaccinated. And that'll be it for this morning's news in brief on the morning update with me, Wisdom Hedejime. As always, do log on to www.myxyzonline.com for more. Abena, over to you.
Thank you, Wisdom. And as he has rightly said, follow us and also send in your contributions on 0556 999 999. Please, WhatsApp, not text and not call. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about women in power.
If a cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre, menye bosia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yema akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodo bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekuokuo bosia, susu account, eni da so wo ho savings account, me bada chain savings account, ene de akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
if you have been admiring and coveting my makeup, then don't do that no more. I'm telling you exactly where and how it was done. It was done by Black Secret Makeup. I mean, they have makeup for all shades of colors, and especially for dark skin. So if you have been having trouble, I used to have trouble finding my shade all the time until I met Black Secret Makeup, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Also, I do not want to finish this segment without appreciating Health Alert Clinic. Health Alert Clinic uses herbal medicine to cure chronic diseases like stroke, hypertension, diabetes. You can also go to them if you're feeling body pains, and they'll give you the massage of your life. Or you can call them on 0242 518893 or 0242 518865. Call Health Alert Clinic and go herbal. Now, not forgetting X Natural Mineral Water also constantly supporting this show, and that is why I say this. I mean, I said this the last time, that behind every successful morning update is X Natural Mineral Water. Now, we are talking about women in power. Yesterday, we celebrated International Women's Day. I didn't get the opportunity to sit here and talk to you, but I got the opportunity to talk to a woman who has also broken chains for me to be able to sit here and do what I am doing. I will not talk too much because she said a lot, and I really would want you to listen to what she had to say. Dr. Mrs. Susan Edu Amankwa. Let's listen to what she said.
Some years back, a woman's place was in the kitchen, the bedroom, and even the home. But you agree with me that a lot of women have fought a good fight, and so now you see women in higher positions. Not too long ago, just about 2017, we had Georgina Dora Wood, who was the first female to have occupied the position of Chief Justice in the Republic of Ghana. Now, if you're a reader as well, you would realize that Jane Austen, the woman who wrote Pride and Prejudice, never used to put her name on any of her writing, but eventually she has started putting her name on her writings. We enjoy her literary works, and we now can identify who has written these works that we are enjoying. As I said earlier, a lot of women had fought for us, for me to even be able to do what I am doing right now. One of those women is sitting right beside me. Her name is Dr. Mrs. Susan Edu Amankwa. She's a true or staunch impromise. She's a medical researcher and a pharmacist, a public health specialist, and again, she is a clinical research coordinator at the Noguchi Memorial Institute, and we are privileged to be talking to her this morning. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Asma.
I am so proud of you. I had to do a bit of research, and I saw how passionate you talked about women. Now, could you kindly tell us how it started, the challenges, and how you have overcome some of these challenges so far?
I can't really tell where it started from. I've just always been myself. I think maybe my upbringing. My parents just had all girls, and we were not made to feel that girls do this, boys do that. This is what you had a task at hand, and you executed the task, and it didn't matter whether you were a girl or not. It was just, you were supposed to do something and you had it done. And that is how it's always been. My interest in politics, I guess, has always also been there. Right from secondary school, I was head girl. I was a school prefect, and I guess that put me in a place where you were a leader, and you just had to do what you had to do. I moved on. I went to university again. I was an SRC vice. In fact, I was the first female SRC vice president. But these are things that they were there, and you wanted to do it. And if there were challenges were supposed to be the things that you just overcame and moved on. And I didn't really think that there were challenges because I was female. I just thought, these are challenges that come up. But when you come out of a much more, when you come out of a controlled environment, where school is a controlled environment, and you come into the real world, then you begin to feel that the challenges are specific to you being female, and then you sit back and say, But that shouldn't be the way it is.
Yeah.
And then you begin to realize that you're not only one that is having those challenges, it's not peculiar to you, but it's peculiar to the female race, or and so you see a goal, you want to attain it, you realize that the challenges are there because you're female, but you said, well, you want to achieve something, so
you keep moving
on regardless of it, because if you don't challenge them, then you won't get what you want. And I think my mom always said that a woman's best servant is herself.
Okay.
So you want something, you're your best servant, you go ahead and you do it. And nobody's going to give it to you.
Today is International Women's Day, a day that is set aside to celebrate women achievers, women who have done something for themselves socially, culturally, economically. And Dr. Mrs. Susan Edu Amankwa is one person who has done a lot. So keep following the conversation and you will find out that I am not just giving her accolades. So now, did you have any female mentor in all of this process? I mean, you have said every time you've talked, you have mentioned your mom.
Mothers are generally mentors to their children, both male and female. And it was she was bringing up her children to face the realities. So when it comes to politics, again, I would say my mother, because she was also into politics. And so she was going to a campaign, or she was going for some program, she would take me along. So if we're talking about a mentor, she would. I'm still into politics. It's important. It's what makes resources be shared equitably. It is what that will give us a better life if we practice it properly. So politics is important, and I would never be out of politics.
This year's theme for IWD is Choose to Challenge. What do you make of the theme?
Well, it definitely has been a challenging few years. Last year was a challenging one, and this year is Choose to Challenge, and we're choosing to challenge biases, we're choosing to challenge stereotypes, and we're choosing to question why there are not more women at the forefront of things. And I think it's important. Even let's just actually at the forefront have been women. You find that if it came to health workers and it came to health workers, the majority of women. In fact, today I was noticing that the COVID team here in Noguchi, who do the testing, of the 52 people or so that are the core team that do the testing, almost 30 of them are women. And so we need to confront that women are doing their bit, women are contributing, and they shouldn't just be left in the background. They should be allowed to come to the forefront. Somebody said, "Oh, but you can come to the forefront on your own."
I was just about to say,
why can't they come to the forefront? Who's stopping them? There are many things that stop them, and put unnecessary obstacles in their way. And we know having a home, making sure that you come here, those are the things that balancing all that make it a bit challenging. And I want to give this example again. We are basically working maybe 12 hours a day, and sometimes there are certain people that have to stay longer. They being female, the nice thing about it is that most of them are single, so they don't have husbands calling them, but they have parents calling them. Let's say, hey, how are you so, possibly they may not have the same worry if it had been their sons that had stayed so long at work, but because they are females, they are having that kind of challenge. And so our biological makeup is an obstacle in some way. It makes when we are the hardest.
We are the strongest, actually.
We are the hardest species. So it's these are some of the things that we need to challenge.
Right.
We have to make the deliberate choice of challenging the bias, challenging the stereotyping, and making sure that we challenge the status quo of keeping the women in the background.
Right.
And instead of getting them at the decision-making table, where they can make decisions, that affect the general population.
Looking at today's woman and then the woman from yesterday, there's so many opportunities. At the same time, there's so many obstacles in there. How do we correlate the youth? How do we get over this hurdle, for lack of a better word?
Well, today's youth, I think their interests are slightly different from what their mothers had, sort of. There are less obstacles. There still are obstacles, but there are less obstacles. They have better opportunities to educate themselves, to get to higher points, because some women have broken the glass ceiling and in allowing them to go through. So they have those others. But they have to realize that it's not just about them. They need to pull more along. And then we have to be more interested in the politics around us.
Right.
We don't necessarily have to be partisan politics, but we have to realize that the politics that plays out affects our lives, and so we should be interested in it. You can have many of them who say, "Oh, well, this politics, the way it's going, and somebody's life is out there. I don't want my life out there." But invariably, they put their lives out there on the Facebook and the Instagram.
Sure.
So why don't you put yourself out there for other reasons than just your outward appearance, and put yourself out there for the good reasons.
Our mothers at home, especially, sorry to say, the ones that are not very well educated, have been stepping on brakes. I mean, I say this, for example, I have a mother who would tell me that, "Nana, you've gone to school, you've done uni, you don't need to do your masters and all that, just get married." So the society is such that the woman is expected to, if you're lucky, go to school, get a job, and get married. So there's a lot of pull on the ankle. How do you even get over that hurdle?
But you see, society is dynamic, and society is 51% female. If we want that to change for us, we need to do it ourselves.
Right.
We need to start with ourselves, and begin to appreciate that. If I don't want it said of me, I must not say it of my fellow.
Right.
We need to begin to identify ourselves as a group.
Yeah.
I think many of our issues as women is that we seem to have more loyalty to other things around us. If it's party politics, we have more loyalty to our parties than to ourselves as a woman.
Right.
If we are university graduates, we seem to identify ourselves more as university graduates than as women. So if we are market women, we identify ourselves more as market women than as women. We have not yet embraced that maybe the one factor should be the overriding factor before comes in. If you are a university graduate, you are you are a politician, or you are this party, QIC. We should then, if we recognize that as women, we can begin to change things for the betterment of all. So that has really been a problem. I need to be able to look in the window, in the mirror, and see myself as a market woman, see myself as a 20-year-old, and identify with her, and such that if I'm putting something on the table, it must be good for us. Because basically, even if we sat down, you are half my age, and we got a market woman who is an illiterate, and another woman, we will find things in common.
Yeah, definitely.
We will definitely find a way where we've been slighted by society, and it doesn't matter my level of education, my occupation, my age, it's all about my sex. And when we begin to realize that, then we can actually in this battle for our rightful position or our the right status in society, we can actually make headway. So, yes, somebody said, "Oh, okay, you've gone to school this now. You need to get married." So and so.
Yeah, and I think
is that the ultimate? Is that my self-actualization? If that is yours, that's fine. But don't make your self-actualization the same for me.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
We should be the best version of ourselves. And for some people, marriage doesn't necessarily make them the best version of themselves, and we ought to respect that.
Right.
She wants to go to school. She wants to achieve the highest she can in terms of this and become a professor. That is what she wants. We need to respect that.
Definitely.
Somebody wants to be a housewife and wants to bring up her children for them to be the best citizens that they can be. That is also important. And if that is what her self-actualization is, we ought to respect that.
Yeah.
The thing is that person contributing to society, and is she contributing something good and worthwhile? If she is, she deserves the respect.
Yes.
She deserves the accolades. And not be put down.
Yes.
Because she chose something different.
Now, it's interesting you say not to be put down. Before we wrap up quickly, a lot of men I hear say, "I want an independent woman," but to be honest, they really don't know how. Yes. So then you see the women trying to bend to become the typical wife. How do you balance this? How do you balance being an independent woman and managing a home?
There are many others who say it and actually can.
Right.
I have been fortunate to have a husband like that. But you see, I said I come from a certain home. In my home, my mother is a lawyer.
Right.
My father is an engineer. We had no problems. Very independent woman. And that is where I was brought up. So any man who was going to come into my life was going to be somebody who would be modeled after my father. I chose somebody like that.
Right.
You understand? Maybe this is where we should bring up our girls to choose men who can take it, and they don't need to conform to them, because it will make them unhappy.
Sure.
And I think that life is too short to be unhappy. So
I agree.
we should bring up our and then not just our female children, but our male children, to realize that somebody's candle being bright does not dim your own. You understand? And that a woman who is independent and is complementary to you. This is somebody that you don't have to worry over.
Yes.
That if you left your children with her, she would manage them, and she would be able. If something happened to you, your wife would be capable of taking care of them. Look out for such women and see that it doesn't take anything away from you being a man.
Right.
In fact, it adds
to your value.
It adds to you the man than to your value. It makes you more of a man to be able to take an independent woman and still hold yourself up and say, "Look, that is my wife.
Yes.
I am proud of her." And everybody looks at you and say, "You're really a great man to have this woman." You understand? It gives you value. So I think that's the way we should go.
Now we'll be wrapping up on the conversation with regards to the International Women's Day, and I have been speaking to Dr. Mrs. Susan Edu Amankwa. She has been very insightful. If you have been following the conversation, I'm sure you would agree with what I am saying. But before we wrap up quickly, so there is a school of thought that believe that the women that are educated practically ignore the ones that are not. How do we pull them along?
So we like I talked before, we must identify ourselves as one. It doesn't matter what my level of education is. It doesn't matter what heights I've achieved. I will be seen as out of the norm if we all don't pull up together.
Right.
And we must start with the kind of education that we get. It is not enough to be educated to have all the degrees and not realize that if you have achieved all the degrees and you have not pulled along with you, the people who belong to your tribe, if I want to use women as a tribe, you understand? You are just an outlier. You understand? And you will never gain the respect if you do not have your whole tribe with you. You know? And so because it has to be collective. We should not have, we should have all of us, you know, being respected, not just the outliers. And so we need to factor that into the kind of education that we give, not just as we bring our children up in the home, but also make it deliberate in our schooling, that your education is not to be put out for yourself, but it is to be put out for your community, it is to be put out for your nation, it is to be put out for the world. And so you educate yourself in knowing that you must pull others along, and that your education is for the benefit of your society. And in this case, of the women's tribe, that your education should be for the benefit of the women's tribe. When we start putting those deliberate policies into place in our education system, we will be bringing up more women who are conscious of the fact that it is their duty to pull up the deprived woman or to pull up the deprived girl and ensure that we all get together. We go together.
Thank you so much. Today has been very insightful. I am definitely tying my clothes to you. She cannot get rid of me whether she likes it or not. So let's try as much as possible to drag each other along as we are moving forward. It's International Women's Day, and we are celebrating women achievers, celebrating women that have paved the way for some of us to even be doing what we are doing. And thank you so much. Thank you
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And so yes, please stick and stay and keep watching the Morning Update.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, indeed. Now, we did talk to, as I said earlier, Dr. Mrs. Susan Edu Amankwa, who said a lot of things. And one of the things I picked from what she said is with the fact that women should identify ourselves as one, as a unit, because there is strength in numbers. We can make a positive impact if we come together as one. If you're educated, pull the ones that are not educated with us and make sure that we pull the younger ones as we go. They seem to have different ambitions now, but we can pull them together and make an impact.
And then she also said something which was an advice to young women of today. She said there are lots of opportunities now compared to 20 years ago or 30 years ago. It's up to the young woman today to appreciate those opportunities and tap into them. She also said that it is important for the young women to understand that showing interest in politics also helps to shape you. Because no matter where you find yourself, whether in academia or politics or the health sector and so on, it is what you understand that will influence how you also drive your effort towards building a nation.
Right.
A lot of people,
go on.
Yeah, a lot of people these days, including men, if you go to many of the tertiary institutions, some of them, you'll be surprised, don't even know what is happening in Ghana.
True.
And it's a very serious thing, because if these are our future leaders, and then these future leaders, 60% of them, 70% of them, don't even know what is happening in this country, you can anticipate how the nation would look like when many of those people have the opportunity to lead us to move forward. And these are very important things we must take out from that interview.
Yeah, she did also say that we should, every time she spoke, she mentioned her home. She came from a certain home, which pushed her to be where she is now. And so I think that we should try as much as possible to educate the girl child in such a way that we want to see our country in future. So how we want to see our country is how we should educate our girl child, because whether you like it or not, your child is going to be trained by the woman. The men mostly are not around for these things. But that's the thing. Women have a certain power at home that to a certain extent the men do not have. I can tell my child, if I want a blender or there's a need for a blender and TV at home, I can find a way to put it in the child's mind that when your father says, should we buy TV or blender, you say blender. But I won't say it directly to him. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, look at because you're thinking back to see if they've done it to you.
Oh no, not really. I'm not appreciating you because you are very excited. Very
because it's women's
and Mrs. Susan Edu Amankwa, she's an Nkrumahist, she's a pharmacist, she's a public health specialist, and a clinical research coordinator at the Noguchi Memorial Institute. We celebrate you and all women in Ghana.
Yeah.
And our prayer is that you join us to build the nation, or we join you to build the nation.
We do apologize, however, for starting our newspaper review late today, but it was because the conversation was lengthy and we couldn't have taken out some of the important bits that we needed you to hear. Now, also, before I go and leave the newspaper review for Eric to chair, I would like to quickly appreciate our sponsors, X Natural Mineral Water, Health Alert Clinic, and of course, Black Secret Makeup.
So we go for business and health tidbits.
Kofi na sen haba matumi sayade bia enanka metina homa me yade yakumie.
Oh, na den Health Alert Clinic de yede haba ma any organic product nkoa ene sayade.
Be ma ne oba a wo ho ayamodene wonko Health Alert Clinic.
Health Alert Clinic de say ye be ma wintimi mu adwuma yi. Menstrual disorder, hypertension, na say enam yade STDs. Wo wadwunsom yade bia ye betene te e de amount. Wo sanso ye massaging any physiotherapy. Omo wo diagnostic machines e de hwehwe de pediem. Sanso na ultra scan.
Health Alert Organic Shop so honomu a organic product nkoa na wo moto honum hwehwe ye kire kwan e wo Madina Post Office ye wo First Atlantic Bank no echi honomu a e wo Enkran
freyen e wo 0242 518893 and 0242 518865. Health Alert Clinic, go Heba.
Welcome back. This morning, I'm sure you are aware that a lot of Ghanaians are talking about the state of the nation ahead of the presentation by the president. Earlier, we knew that this should have taken place in the morning. The majority leader, Oseche Mensah Bonsu, told the House to be seated before the arrival of the president. It will not happen inside Parliament, but at the forecourt where tents have been erected, just around the same place where the president was sworn in on the 7th of January. And the question is, what is in your mind? What do you expect the president to talk about? I followed a few conversations, and people are saying that if the president missed it when he had opportunity to speak to the country before the end of 6th of December, 6th of January 2021, at least this time, the president should also capture a lot of things bothering people, i.e. those who must have died during the elections, at least to please the hearts of those who are bitter, because at this stage, the country is very polarized. And it's appropriate that the concerns of the other side must be captured as a state and measures government wants to put in place to address them. You remember the NDC appears very divided. A lot of people at the grassroots are so mad at their members of parliament. And one of the things they were using against the MPs for endorsing some of the nominees was that the defense, the interior, the national security ministers, for example, presided over violence during, before, during, and after the elections. Before was when we were witnessing the voter registration exercise. During the elections, you and I know, and after the elections, we have witnessed what has happened since, including the invasion of parliament. And so if the MPs, in their own wisdom, thought of other reasons why these nominees must be passed, at least the state must be seen to be given some assurances, because these nominees said investigations had not been concluded, and many thought that it was a flimsy excuse because between January 8th, between December 8th, 9th, 10th, and so on, till today, which is about 2 months after the elections, nobody should be able to suggest that the investigation has not been concluded when there are videos available. Others are saying post-COVID. That's what the information minister says, that the post-COVID Ghana is what will inform the State of the Nation address and the budget to be read on Friday. The cabinet met over the weekend, and they had serious discussions on a number of things affecting this country today. COVID has increased our national debt, and many people are anticipating that there's some fatigue that has struck many of the donor partners because of COVID. Their own countries are struggling, and so government would have to be very strategic in raising revenue internally and from outside to help to meet some of the promises. But one very important thing that should be of interest to you and I is a sad story that happened at APAM. Yesterday, the news started breaking. We heard of some bodies recovered. Now, it is known that these children, GHS students, SHS students, boys and girls, had gone to a location, a lagoon around APAM, to have fun. And unfortunately, 20 of them got drowned. We have conflicting reports. Some say 12 bodies have been recovered. Others are saying 15 bodies have been recorded. What we can also speak on authority is that at least 35 of those rescued were sent to the APAM government hospital. We know the MP has been to the area. The DCE has been very active on the ground. NADMO officials, as we speak, are also on the ground trying to find out if there are more than the figures we have quoted. We're talking more about this sad story, the State of the Nation address, matters arising from the confirmation of the nominees, crisis in the NDC, and whether the NDC can survive between now and 2024. All these will be on the table this morning. But I want to speak to Joe Jackson. We know Dalex Finance is one of the big bosses there, and he's on the line now. He cannot join us in the studio this morning. Okay, so Joe Jackson will join us later, but I'm told the MP for the area, Richard Jan, is on the line. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Sad news for you yesterday. I can imagine that you perhaps didn't enjoy your weekend, even though we're marking our 64th Independence Day. Walk us through, what do you know about this sad news involving so many school children who got drowned yesterday?
Okay, certainly. Yeah, this weekend hasn't been a very good weekend with a sad event that happened in my constituency. I actually was in the constituency on Sunday, but I left quite too early. Later in the night, I heard that 2 people have gotten drowned at the beach. So I even decided I would go there yesterday morning. But in the morning, the report which came was that about 10 people have been rescued. And out of the 10, 2 are surviving and 8 has passed on. So I quickly moved to the constituency. And first of all, I actually visited the Council of Fishermen. They gave the eyewitness account. And the report was that the teenagers, the children who were drawn actually were all teenagers within the ages of between 13 to 15 years. So far, 12 bodies have been identified as having been lost, but 2 people have survived. So the account of 20 that I'm hearing in the media, it is not true. I was personally at the morgue yesterday in the morning. There were 10 people at the morgue and 2 people at the hospital. Later in the day, we had 2 more people who were also brought to the morgue, which I witnessed myself. I've visited all the families, the exception of 2 that we can identify. No family has come to identify them. So as we speak now, we have 12 people at the morgue, and the remains are 12 at the morgue, and the 2 people who have been discharged are also being discharged.
Okay, good to hear. But yesterday we also had reporters on the ground, and those conflicting reports have not been reported from one particular media house. Have you done some background checks to find out if every parent who may have been involved in one way or the other can now confirm that their child is either dead or back home? So we cannot conclude that those who got drowned could be about 20.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I have visited almost about 10 families that have lost a child. And wherever we go, we ask them if there are any other families, and there's information if your child is missing, you should come and report. I've gone to the police station. There hasn't been any report of any missing child as of yesterday around 10 o'clock in the evening.
So good to hear. MP Richard Jan is the MP for Gomoa West, and your constituency covers Apam, Montfort, etc. Now, this particular spot, is it known for reveling, and for that reason, maybe authorities, including you, could have prevented some activity there on 6th March?
I think the event happened on the 7th of March in the evening, yeah. Actually, the whole place, all the area which that covers from Apam all the way to Bazi are very good for reveling. So I can say that it's okay. Well, so far, what I know is the restrictions that have been put on everyone going to the beach. So I was a bit surprised to hear that the children went to the beach on that day. Besides, my inquiring from the Fishermen Council, they informed me that the event didn't happen anywhere close to them. Where people normally have beaches, that is not where. They actually cross the lagoon to the other side of the beach, which side nobody goes there most often. It is only when it is a holiday that people go there for reveling. So that is the account they gave to me.
Yes, I asked that question specifically because there is a ban on such activities at our beachfront. And we know that the local assembly, in anticipation that there could be some deviant students, this could have happened, and therefore they would have positioned security men at some of those strategic locations to even prevent the movement of people across the lagoon to where the sad incident happened. I've heard the police commander saying even that place was closed. I've heard the DC also lamenting, and you as an MP for the area, knowing very well that that place could be used by students, could have been proactive, or we are being too accusatory?
I think on my part, what I know, I was at the beach 2 weeks ago. I've been to the beach, I think 3 weeks ago I was there. I was there 2 weeks ago. But apart beach, I didn't see anyone at the beach on Sunday. So as I said, I was a bit surprised when I got to know that yesterday there's some people also visited the beach. And beside that, there was communication. The first day, the 2 weeks ago when I was at the beach, I had communication going around that nobody should come to the beach on Sundays again, because there was this event that they normally call Sunday Special. That some goes to the beach to do acrobatics, some go to play football, others go to there to play. So there was that announcement, and I was personally there. I had the fishermen making that announcement. So I at least expected myself. I was actually taken by surprise when I heard that there was an event like that, because I know that once the announcement has gone and the fishermen also have a task force who actually monitors that. But from the account they gave, it was at the blind side of them, because they moved away from where they're expecting that mostly or even on weekends or on holidays, people will be having this one. They went far away from that place.
So who should we hold responsible? The DC is saying, I'm surprised. Police commander, I'm surprised. MP for the area, I'm surprised. The fishermen have a task force, and they're also saying it happened on their blind side. Obviously, to get students, JHS level, SHS level, who are there to have fun, would mean that somebody actually organized them. If national security itself could also not read in between the lines and be proactive, then who do we hold responsible for this? It happens. We have to throw our arms in despair.
Okay, I'm saying I think for now, I was at the police station to ask the investigator to actually also speed up with the investigation so that we know if it was an organized event. As I speak now, there hasn't been any clue to say that it was an organized event. And it is a bit surprising to also know that most of the people who were involved in this were within a certain age bracket. Because they are between the ages of 13 to 15 years. So how it happened that almost all of them are within the same age bracket? If there was any someone who officially organized the program, or it was just something that they actually informed themselves. And from the account that has also come, I think that a lot of the people who were at the beach were actually many, because to the point where even those who were swimming or who were at the beach could not even identify that some of them have gotten down. And I have to see some fishermen who have to see them. Then that's where I'm a bit taken aback. But from my intel, I haven't gotten any information to say that somebody organized the program, because there hasn't been any program that has been advertised or been announced that it's going to be held at the beach. That's why I'm saying that I was a bit surprised about.
Would you admit that? Would you admit that somebody has failed and we cannot leave it like that?
Definitely. That one I wouldn't actually.
So in this case, who would you point as a member of parliament for the area? Your reaction should not be just speaking, but it should demonstrate anger and what you need to do or would wish to do to find really what must have happened.
Yeah, at this point, we are all trying to unearth what the how the whole event was organized or unearth how it happened. So I wouldn't want to put blames on the corridors of anyone now. I think that we'll let us actually come up with our investigation.
Before you go,
but I believe that definitely somebody must be held accountable. It could be me, it could be any other person.
Okay, Richard, before you go, is it true that some of these children who died are from one family? We are told about 3 or 4 belong to one family. Can you confirm that?
Yes, visiting the homes, mostly within our coastal areas, you know how it is. It is not from one family as one, from one mother and father. But you go to one household, it's a big household, and maybe you have 2 people from there. So maybe somebody and even in the one home, somebody and his uncle, even though they are all in the same age bracket, but someone is uncle. Went to another house is also the same. So I think about 3 households has recorded 222, and others to there are 2 people coming from Ankamo, that is Apam Junction. We visited the family, and when you come to Apam, but so far there are 2 people that we have not identified their family. So when there's one lady who is reported to have come from Cape Coast, but her friends at Apam, and she had ever lived at Apam and later left. But even the one that she lived with cannot be seen. She's also not still staying there. So so far there are 2 people out of the 12 that are the most. 10 families have been identified.
Okay,
and out of the 10, 3 are coming from the same family.
Thank you very much. Richard Jan is the MP for Gomoa West. He's given us some background information. Now we can authoritatively say 12 children were found dead. Some of them are as young as 13 years. Some came from Manford, Ankemu, and Apam. And they would have traveled from such distances to one location to have fun on the 7th of March. That was yesterday. So I think it's on the 7th of March. And unfortunately, this is what we can share with you. I don't know your own reaction. Who do you think must be held accountable for this sad story? Can we also blame the parents for negligence? Because in this country, a lot of things happened, and then we don't have specific individuals to take blame. In other jurisdictions, for example, the DCE, as head of the District Security Council, should have been invited to Accra to answer questions. The IGP should be answering questions, because we know that the state has procured some, I don't know if they are scooters or they are four-wheeled motorcycles, and they have been displaying them at the beaches. Do they assume that it is only in Accra, Takoradi, and let's say some of the bigger towns along the beach front, that is where people have fun? We know that in many of such communities, like the MP said, these things happened. Was there intelligence failure? Or people assume that in spite of the president's directive, we don't care? Because I know that over the last few years, the Ghana Police Service has always issued warnings ahead of such events like March 7 or March 6 or the Easter festivities or the Christmas celebrations, that they are going to deploy people to the beaches. They are going to work in tandem with the Ghana Tourism Authority to ensure that the security at many of these beach fronts. And unfortunately, this COVID area, and people have been asked not to congregate. And these are toddlers who have brought sadness to their homes. I'll be taking your text messages 0556 999 999 for us to talk about this, because it's about time we see a country moving forward where people who are paid by the state are seen to be working efficiently to ensure that they protect you and I. But if it should happen, and then the MP for the area will complain and say investigations will be ongoing, the police district commander will say, yes, I'm also surprised, and you heard him in our news, and the DC is also on the ground, NADMO officials on the ground, and everybody is pretending to be very busy and concerned, and we'll leave it like that. Just last week, we brought two people to the studio. One man lost 4 of his children in a fire, and the man's lamentation was that up to date, from December 4 till now, neither the Ghana National Fire Service or the police had even invited them to know what they found out in their investigations. And this go on. Should the country be built on this? 64 years after independence, is it this Ghana that we felt that after so many years, at least 6 decades, that's where we are and everything seems to be so clean? I don't know what the opinion is. The State of the Nation address is also on the table. And I told you that we'll be having a long conversation on that. We also spoke about the NDC in crisis. That's what people want us to believe, that there's some leadership failure and nobody knows who is in charge of the party, because everybody is now doing what he or she wants, and the grassroots are so angry that they are vowed that they are bowing out of the NDC because it is not worth dying for. It will be part of this conversation. When I come back from the break, I'll tell you who is next on this conversation or this dining table.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance.
Yeah, thanks for staying. This is TV XYZ. This is Wezo TV. We are live on your digital TV sets, on your satellite TV channels, and of course on Facebook and YouTube. All you have to do is to follow us and later join us with your WhatsApp text messages. This morning, we shall be joined by Dr. Ibrahim Zabiru, who is a senior lecturer at the Accra Technical University. But I have Joe Jackson on the line. Dalex Finance, when you mention Joe Jackson, you know the next is Dalex Finance, one of the strategic financial institutions which is not only creating employment opportunities, but helping to shape public policy towards finance and economic parts of the sectors of our country. Joe, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you? Good morning to all your listeners.
I'm also fine. I only wish that you could join me in the studio, but for the short notice and the traffic. Joe, how is everything going today?
Oh, everything is fine. You know, I had a bout with COVID, and by the grace of God, I survived. This morning, I'm feeling well, and I did some exercise. So, well, life is good. God day. This day, life is good.
Of course, God day. At least you can continue to eat your wache and your cocoa early morning.
Yes, and as the president said, eat dawadawa too.
Eat dawadawa too. And I like it that you are doing exercise. My stomach is large, but you are huge. And I'm sure
I am huge.
I tell you, you are huge. You are huge. You are not only huge by way of the size of your body, but in our media space. This morning, we know the president is getting ready. I'm sure by now they are walking him through his notes to present the State of the Nation address. We'll be talking about that. But just before we joined you, we were having a conversation on this sad story at Apam, where 12 children are now confirmed dead because they got drowned. As many as possible were also rescued, some of them recuperating at the hospital. We've spoken to the MP, we've listened to the DC, we've listened to the police commander, and nobody is accepting responsibility, only to complain. How did you receive this news?
Well, with sadness, but also saying that what did we expect? We know that our beaches are not safe. The beaches are not safe. And yet we don't have lifeguards on the beaches. And we know every Independence Day holiday, our youth flock to the beaches and regularly they drown. You're talking about Apam, but I'm sure that something would have happened at Labadi, and so on and so forth. And I think we should hold the DCE responsible in that they know the kids will go and swim. There are no lifeguards. Do we know that beaches are unsafe? Yes. Even in a swimming pool where it is still water, there's a lifeguard. How much more at the beach? I'm sad, but I just say that those districts that are by the beach, they should do something about public safety. They should do more to assure the safety of the public.
What about the parent who has also been very irresponsible because they are aware COVID is real, they are aware their kids are likely to step out and have fun at the beach, they let loose their guard, and they have lost their children? Should they just be sitting and crying and hoping that a certain DC or commander will be punished regardless of the laws of this country on child protection?
Listen, I'm a parent too. And my heart goes out to those parents who've lost their children. That's not the natural order of things. Children should bury parents. I also know as a parent that sometimes you don't have control over all the situations. Your child may tell you, I'm going around the corner to play soccer, but he ends up at the beach. So I sympathize with the parents. But that is why there's the issue of public safety. So that even if children were irresponsible at the beach, even if parents did not keep an eye on the children, there's the issue of public safety. So I feel sad for the parents. My heart goes out to them. I don't wish the death of a child on my worst enemy. I also know how difficult it is to control and keep an eye on children in these days. A simple lifeguard, a simple red flag, green flag to when to swim and when not to swim, controlled by somebody who knows what he's doing, even a fisherman at the beach, could have changed the situation. I'm sorry for the parents, and I hold the district authorities responsible.
What do you expect going forward to serve as a deterrent? You have already said this is not the first time. It will happen again at the next holiday. July 1st is around the corner. What do you expect the state to do to serve as a deterrent or to prevent some of these sad stories?
Very simple. Survey the beaches. Mark the areas that are too dangerous to swim. Employ lifeguards. Employ somebody who will mark high tide and low tide and decide when people should get out of the water. If we do all this and somebody still drowns, then you can say the person refused to listen to, hearken to the warnings that you are giving them. But it's very simple. I mean, these rules are simple. It's not like you're doing this every day of the week. Mark the areas that are safe to swim. Let somebody come there to mark high tide and low tide. And use a flag system to tell people when to get into the water and when not, when it is too dangerous. It's as simple as that. It will save lives.
So before we move on to the next topic, what is your own assessment of the national security network we have today? The National Security Minister had the opportunity to tell us the state of security in our country. We have several of them who have just become gossips, brandishing their walkie-talkies and so on. Do you think if you had an efficient national security system across the country, this could have been prevented?
This is not an issue of national security. This is an issue of public safety. Please, I disagree that this is an issue of national security. It's not an issue of national security. It's an issue of public safety. And public safety, it's an issue of public safety. And so please, we may have national security problems, but I disagree that this particular problem is an issue of national security. It is not. National security is supposed to address other behaviors that may be criminal in their and harm the national interest. This is a matter of private and public safety. Hello?
Yes, I heard you, Joe Jackson, because the reason why I asked this deliberate question is a matter of coordination of information where it goes to the appropriate office to take proactive steps to stop something that will fall within the public safety issue. But I think your response is quite clear.
Yes, it's not a national security issue. It's a public safety issue. And each district with kids and youth should act, and sitting at the beach, knowing that on holidays this will happen, should act in itself. We don't need to coordinate information. We just need the DCEs to act.
I think you've made a strong point, and you think that at this stage somebody must be held responsible and others will take cue of that. Now let's move to the State of the Nation address. Apparently that's why we are having our conversation with you. The president will be speaking today. There's so many things that every Ghanaian would wish is captured. He cannot talk about all. He's a human being, and we know that he will prioritize them. From where you sit and knowing where we have come from, what do you expect the president to address?
First of all, COVID-19 has devastated the economy of this country. And because of COVID-19, things are tough. It's the state of the nation. I expect him to come and tell us the state of the nation's economy and the effect of COVID-19. Not platitudes, not a listing of the achievements over COVID-19, but a bare reckoning of where we are, what it has done to this economy, how much we have borrowed, how much we have spent so far, and what it looks like. Listen, the former minister, and I say former because even though he hasn't been elected yet, and he said the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, he said this is the most dire threat. COVID-19 is the most dire threat this country has faced since independence. Interestingly, the previous Minister of Finance, Honorable Seth Terkper, agreed with him on this issue. First and foremost, on the State of the Nation address, COVID has turned everything upside down. COVID is still ongoing despite vaccines and so on and so forth. We want to know, where do we stand with respect to COVID? Not just the numbers ill and the measures being done to hold the spread, but also what it has done to this economy. I think that the COVID issue will lead large over everything else. Then he should tell us what he's about to do to mitigate the effects of COVID, to encourage people to undertake simple public safety measures. Because we all know that the part of the problem is that we have not undertaken the measures we need to take, the washing of hands, the wearing of masks, the social distancing. We're not doing it. Now, for me, the state of the economy due to COVID, the mitigating the effects of COVID going forward, are the two. It's two in one, but it's the biggest thing that he can talk about in the State of the Nation address.
So Jackson, hold it. There are several strands I want us to take our time to digest. First of all, you realize that there is still dispute about figures, i.e. our debt, i.e. the state of our economy, and what the other side would want to suggest. How would it have looked like if, but for the sake of sickness or trying to recuperate, if the finance minister had opportunity to go through the process before this time, then all the issues that are hanging would have been addressed before we hear the opportunity of listening to the president, or perhaps the budget to be read on Friday. How differently would it have looked like?
I don't think it would have looked much different. Listen, I go to one, let's say I go and check my blood pressure. One nurse gives me a different reading from what happens when I get into the doctor's consulting room, a slightly different reading. But your blood pressure is still high. It's still much higher than it should be. Right? And the Ministry of Finance has competent minister who, in Honorable Charles Wine, who's been appointed to take over. I'm hesitant to think that the government's economic plan, there's an economic planning team, that the government economic plan is dependent on a single. The minister may be a very important member of the team, but he's not the sole member of the team. We believe the vice president is a member of the team. We believe the Honorable Charles Dubois is a member of the team. There are other members of the team. There's the National Development Planning Commission. We cannot accept that Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, if he's not around, it cannot be. We cannot have a proper budget. We cannot have the proper reckoning of the State of the Nation address. There's a dispute about numbers, but the dispute is about it's about fine print, right? The numbers tell a grim story, and we should deal with the risks we are facing as an economy.
Good. So, Joe Jackson, beyond that, we are still on one of the strands, post-COVID economic management. We have heard of several stimulus packages which have gone out there. We don't anticipate government raising enough funds to give much more COVID-related stimulus packages. But the fact is, government needs revenue. Government may have to borrow. We have a strangulated economy, and we have a people with so much expectations as we speak. What do you expect the president's address to limit itself to? Because we have a budget on Friday to be announced.
Well, in truth, because the budget is coming up, I don't think the government will talk too much about you just give a bare framework. The framework I'm expecting is exactly what you've talked about. That they have to raise revenue, that they have to borrow even more. And so what are we going to do about it? And raising revenue improves our capacity to borrow. Another issue that is constantly coming up is this issue of corruption and transparency. Right? And there's a strong school of thought that this government has lost the battle to rein in corruption. So we are hoping that if the president will announce or show to us conclusively that he's ready to get back on the corruption horse. That's our hope. But the issues are straightforward. You need more revenue. You need to borrow more because right now we are flat broke. Anybody who thinks otherwise is living in la la land. We are flat broke. We need to raise more money, government revenue, and we will still have to borrow even more. So we're expecting him to admit this and to give us the framework for which the budget will give us the details on Friday.
In your preamble, you said we don't want to hear much of the accolades you can anticipate will be on the table because that the president obviously will say is why he has been endorsed again for a second term. But we have always seen a tangent, which is let the president of any day speak, let the minority claim everything is bogus, and yet Ghanaians would wish that several other issues are addressed. I mentioned security earlier. We have had a polarized country today compared to yesterday because of an election dispute and a former president saying, I wouldn't accept the rulings of the court. Ghanaians are divided. We have outstanding issues like people who may have died during or after the elections. And the state has not really spelled out the plan it wants to adopt to bring that matter to rest. Should the president, who has been silent on all these, be heard to speak into this issue to heal the country? Because it should be the state of the nation and a reflection on where we are and the way forward.
I expect the government the president to talk about this issue, but I don't expect him to dwell on it. In truth, I was here when the last but one election petition was sent to court. That took a longer time than this. That was even more divisive than this. That issue needs to be talked about, but he shouldn't dwell on it. He should dwell, you see, the divisiveness will go away if Ghanaians feel that there is a plan for our growth and development over the next 4 years. The divisiveness will stay when you dwell on it and all you are telling us is the achievement and why you've been endorsed. The best way to get over the divisiveness is to go straight, while acknowledging it, go straight to what your plan is to improve this country despite the ravages of COVID.
Okay, so Joe Jackson, before you go, let's dwell a little on the NDC. Many people were happy to hear almost divided parliament, 137 plus 1 for the NPP, and a Speaker of Parliament who many said would also change the narratives in terms of proceedings on the floor of Parliament. Their members are angry because they think that the expectation has been dashed, and therefore we may not see a Parliament that is strong enough to hold government accountable. The NDC, for many, is on a path of disintegration if the leadership goes to sleep. How do you see it from where you are sitting on the fence?
Well, there's one thing is clear to me, that the expectation of the grassroots of the party was unrealistic. You see, whether you are NDC or MPP, there are certain constituencies that you belong to. You belong to a tribe. You belong to an old boys' school. You belong to a family or a clan, or go on and on and on. And such that what we are hearing from Parliament is that if a minister, say, came from a particular region, the people in that region, whether they were NDC or MPP, there were some that the MPs felt a huge pressure to vote for their MP, for that particular MP. You know what they can say, as so that what we're hearing is that it wasn't even so much the pressure of NPP, NDC, that there were other constituencies that made that got NDC parliamentarians voting for, in quotes, their own. And their own is not talking about NDC, their own is talking about other issues. So I think the grassroots were unrealistic. I think it's a pretty unique, the appointments are a pretty unique situation, and that we cannot judge this parliament solely by what happened over the appointment, and that going forward we should judge them about how they treat bills that come before Parliament, and whether they will allow what I will call, in quotes, dodgy bills to pass through.
Joe Jackson, we've spent much of your time. You've demonstrated how huge you are. Almost all the issues well addressed. I want to say thank you for your time this morning. And
thank you too. It's a real pleasure.
What is your message to Ghanaians as we wrap up the celebration of our 64th Independence Day? Briefly, your message of hope.
My message is a message of hope. My message is that we've come through several tribulations, and this too shall pass. And that as a Ghanaian, as a Christian, I believe strongly that the future will be better for all of us.
Amen. Joe Jackson is the head of business operation at Dalex Finance. Enjoy your day, sir.
Enjoy your day too. Saying to all your listeners, bye.
We are grateful. So you heard him address a number of issues. This is Morning Update on TVXYZ. It's also live on Waze.tv. I believe that you sent a lot of text messages. I'll be reading a few from the number some of you know, 020-866-7000, and then the 0556-999-999. Abna will be joining me. I made reference to Dr. Ibrahim Zabiru, senior lecturer at Accra Technical University, was supposed to join us. It looks like he's had a little challenge. We are still hoping that even though we are about to wrap up in the next 20-25 minutes, he may find time to at least pass through. I don't know what is going through your mind. I'll be reading some of the text messages. If it is not too late for you, why don't you grab your phone and send us what is on your mind. This discussion segment is brought to us by courtesy of Health Alert Clinic. Their contacts are on the screen. You can always go to them and then follow their instructions and stay healthy. X Natural Mineral Water has also been a partner as far as this conversation is concerned. This text message is quite long, but I will read it. It said the 2020 general elections and its related petition are over. But my question is, was it constitutional for the incumbent party in government to send armed men to voting centers to intimidate people and in some cases shoot at some of them to the extent that some have even been killed? Are those who were involved in that criminal act going to be left to go unpunished as usual? Is this part of the law I am very sorry for this country. And this one came from Asanko in Santa Maria. And this text message says, 1 second. It says, thank you very much, TVXYZ, Wizor TV. I believe that you have a huge platform and you need to do more to promote it, because a lot of people would wish they are following your conversations. This text message says, sorry, I have to go down because he sent it several times. This one says, a Palm Beach drowning issue. How did these children go there, that's to the seaside, without any adult supervision? Even if the beach was closed, there was no way these children could have been there without any reprimanding, anyone reprimanding them to go home or something like that. We have to be each other's keeper, from Ablade, Efiekuma Takradi, and it goes on with a supplementary text message which makes it long. It says, where are the finance ministers, 3 deputies, and President Akufo-Addo picks Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu to read the budget for us? Does this mean that the finance minister's assistants are not competent enough? Something is not adding up in the country. Everything make poto nyama from the text message here. The other one here says, from DJ Omanle in Wayosigo, it says, Ghana's one and only president will continue his good works and will continue to work hard for the achievement of Better Ghana agenda. There is no time to waste on negative energies and propaganda from the NDC. And he goes on to say, greetings to some listed people here. I wouldn't want to mention their names. And it says, Ghanaians would definitely resist this animalistic and idiotic homosexuality issue. And then it goes on to say, President Akufo-Addo's vision is to lead the country towards sustainable development and growth for the benefit and well-being of citizenry. And the second term of office will see tremendous changes. And this one came from Masawudu in Kumasi, Bantama. I'll be taking a break, then continue with more text messages. This one says, NDC MPs failed to appreciate the pain of some of us and are going through. More importantly, the family of the 8 deceased who lost their lives in line of defending the party. I'm still struggling to understand how an NDC MP can pick a ballot paper and vote for, it mentions name, Hawa Kumsin, Nitul, Ambrose Derry, and so on and so forth. I'll be taking a short break. When I come back, I have more of the text messages coming in, and we have another person on the line to speak to. I'll tell you who he is after this break. I saw a gray-haired man, whether it is natural or artificial. He's called Shatawale, and he did that music. He's one of my fans, especially in the evenings. When I didn't do morning update, at least I had some evening to spend together with friends, and set type of songs go with something you know. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Ross.
Dr. Ibrahim Zubairu, yeah. Senior lecturer at the Accra Technical University.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy you are here.
Thank you, sir.
Because when time was running and I knew you were in traffic, I was telling myself, so Papa, then he will say Yapon. I'm happy you have joined me.
Thank you, sir.
Straight into business.
Yes, sir.
State of the Nation address. Nana Akufo-Addo will speak. What is on your mind?
First of all, let me use this opportunity to greet all our listeners and the viewers of this great TV station, and then say that I'm sorry that traffic has caught the best part of me, and I just reached. State of the Nation address. I was disappointed with the inaugural speech because his election was fraught with killing of 8 Ghanaian citizens. Whether it is their fault or not, so long as life was lost, I expected that he would touch it in his inaugural address. He did not. Now we have State of the Nation address. In that inaugural speech, he never made mention of anything he promised last minute, like the 88 hospitals and the rest of them that he claimed because of the COVID and the rest of them he has to do.
The year of rules.
The year of rules and what have. Nothing happened. So now State of the Nation, the previous regime is gone. There's no accounting for where we were, what we have done and what we're looking forward to do. In that inaugural speech, nothing happened like that. Now we are in a new era. Do you think he'll go back there and say anything? No. I don't expect to see anything new or things we expect he will hammer on them, things that are affecting the people. Look at the COVID situation. The vaccines have come. I have my issues with the vaccine, but not that one. I'm not discussing that one. But let's look at what he's going to say. The economy is in tatters. It's in tatters. I'm a public financial management expert. I can tell you that when you pick our balance sheet, there's nothing to write home about. Expert colleagues have discussed them. And I don't see anything is coming to say that will be new, that will change the life of anybody. It's all about they ruining the country, taking the resources into their personal pockets. That's what we have seen. Look at how much we had as a debt in 2016 December. It was about 122-something billion. And then as at 31st December 2020, how much was our debt? Ballooning.
We are over 274 billion.
My brother. So what is there to show? The unfortunate thing for Ghanaians is that COVID has come. And every inefficiency is now pushed to COVID.
Is it not oversimplifying the reality on the ground? Because government will talk about dams, even though many would wish that we go past that. Government will talk about free SHS, government will talk about some roads, government will talk about ambulances, government will talk about the drones they have brought in. And so obviously there were some initiatives that depended on the public purse or a loan that government has executed over the last 4 years. And so they can tell their story.
My brother, the provisions in Article 174, giving government right as elected from Parliament to tax us, and 179, giving them authority to spend the money. How far have they accounted for all they requested from Parliament to Ghanaians?
Do you blame government for it?
I blame government.
Why not the public account? Why not?
I'm coming.
The House inviting them to respond to questions?
That is where the problem lies. People are not trying to juxtapose the issue of removal of Domlevo from the office, who is supposed to be the person who certified the account by Article 187, that about when controller prepares the account of the spending as approved per 179 from Parliament, and he has to go through to make sure that whatever they have done is in order. A lot of the issue there, Public Accounts Committee has raised several issues. How have they been resolved? You know, once Public Accounts Committee per their workings, when they finish, they give the executive through the Minister of Finance to go and then prepare ways of resolving those issues. How many times have you seen that they've come back to say that we have resolved them? Have you seen? Auditor General has finished his work. Now, Parliament has raised issues and recommended. But Auditor General is supposed to check later that what they say they were doing, have they done it? Even before they present for next budget, Parliament will have to look at it.
So, Domlevo's removal is significant?
It's very significant, I'm telling you. Yes. Yes, that is what I can see. But because, you see, I don't understand why somebody will say his date of birth. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't go with the work. It's senseless.
Is it not too harsh?
It's not.
A comment
no,
to describe what
it's not. It's not. We have to tell people the truth in their face. Like one of my brother indicated, and I posted on my update. You see, when falsehood becomes institutionalized, truth becomes like rebellion.
There's a loaded phrase. But you see, while the anger may be directed at people who head various institutions, you must equally be directing the anger at other arms of government. So we have the legislature.
That's what I'm saying.
Remember that you had the speaker, for example, lament that the composition of the membership of the Council of State, there was an oversight. The House should have been briefed. He made it public. He spoke through his protest on the floor of Parliament. And the public has not been equally, out of respect, been informed what has happened since. So we have one arm of government that will pretend to be working, make all the noise, but they don't follow some of these things to the letter, or they keep it to their chest. And you and I sit here and lament. Why?
See, the issue about Ghana is that we fear to speak the truth. The hypocrisy is too much. People, you expect them to take action, they will not. I, as a lecturer, all I can do is to speak my mind independently as person in the academia that can speak my mind and speak to the issues. When I finish, I'm done. It is left with you, the media and other institutions that are responsible to take it up. If you spoke and they don't take it up, that irresponsibility is on those institutions. You understand? So the problem in Ghana today, when it comes to the economy and all those things, is not rested on one person. Parliament has a role, very big role to play. What are their follow-ups? Because I know Public Accounts Committee has powers of the High Court when they sit, and then they can subpoena anybody whatever to give evidence and the rest of them. After that, what is their follow-up? It's just that the year in Parliament? Or what are we looking at?
So you made reference to post-COVID management of the economy, and coming from an era where we all agree that things are not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Should the president, in his State of the Nation address, or perhaps the addendum will be what will be contained in the budget to be read on Friday, make modest promises and also help us to also conscientize ourselves that times are hard, and therefore let us not be asking too much at this time, while we help the Bank of Ghana and the managers of the economy to gradually walk us out of this challenge we are facing?
You see, reasonably, I expect that those things, President will look at those things and sincerely speak to those. But for who we know he is, when it comes to addressing some of these issues, I've read through all his State of the Nation addresses. He became president from January 7, 2017. I can tell you on authority that this thing will not give us anything. He will not tell us anything that we expect to hear. Now, my expectation is that, first of all, pre-COVID era and post-COVID era, or what do you call it, the COVID times that we are in, what were the situation? And now that we are in, what have been the situation? Because that pre-COVID era, we have a problem. That problem has exacerbated as a result of the COVID, right? Now, in the COVID, how are we managing it? You understand? We have kids going to school in the COVID. What are the preparations? We are in this education sector. We know what is going on. We know what our kids go. Even if you are not in the education sector, our kids go to school. You know what they go through. That one aside, let's come to the economy. Look, today it's hard. Go to security. All those sectors of the economy. Is it ready to touch on all of them? Because there are problems everywhere. Just recently, a colleague of ours who works with them, SG Bank, in front of Glyco, in the traffic, somebody picked a knife. You have to get all the monies from there. Cars are passing. Always police stand there. What have they done? Security. All these things are there. Now, the poor continue to be poorer. And few of them who are milking the resources of the state keep on going hard. You tell us to maybe tighten our belts. Yes. Have you tightened yours?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to the president. Has he tightened his own?
So that obviously means we have a lot to chew.
A lot!
But we cannot finish this program without talking about another very important conversation.
Yeah.
And this has to do with the NDC.
Sure.
I've read several posts on social media. Well, our conversation has tried to paint the reflection on the ground, and at the same time, that suspicion, because it started trending over the weekend, that the ruling party would take advantage of NDC's own weaknesses and help the party to disintegrate, because there are people within with this agenda 2024 motive. After witnessing all what has happened, and from where you sit, what can you share?
Honestly speaking, I was disappointed in the action of some of the members of parliament. I say bravo, and let me stand up and salute those who stood their grounds. In the case of Hawa Kumsim, there are 104 who voted against. I salute them. In case of Kojo Nkrumah, there are 127 who voted against. I salute them. And in case of Dr. Harrison, there are 133 who voted against. I salute them. But the few who did not listen to the party's position and then destroyed or what do you call, broke the heart of the grassroots of our party. I tell them, shame. They're shameless people.
Regardless of what may have informed.
Listen. Supreme Court is supposed to hold the interests of the state. And when I read the writings of
the Chief Justice or the panel in their ruling.
Their ruling. And then the critique of Frema Buzia. In fact, I said, wow. I was shocked. I'm not a lawyer. But ordinarily, when you read as an ordinary person in the ruling and what they are talking about, it does not make sense.
Ghana at 64, some would say, remains polarized. Should the president's appointments, for example, we understand that Sylviano, who was speaking for the EC, is going to Denmark or somewhere as an ambassador. And because of some of the things that have unfolded either at the Supreme Court or in our public space, in the wisdom of the president, he knows why. But does such an appointment, for example, fuel the suspicions or the positions by those who perhaps are losing interest in institutions of state?
Yes. You see, that's why I'm saying that our president may appear to be smart, but in action he's not.
Is it not quite harsh in terms of your description of
his actions,
gentleman and what
his actions tells, even if I don't say, this kind of appointment, what will people say?
You think it's provocative? You think
seriously
indicative?
Yes, yes.
Conversation earlier.
I expect that they should be smart enough. You know, running into the election 2020, we have classmates who are on the other side. They tell you, be real. And they did. They are at a high level in their party.
That was not proven in court.
I'm coming. If court had allowed the local parentus that my sister Frema Buzia said, you are a parent, it's onerous on you. We want to know the truth. Come and tell us. The truth about the figures that have been published, nobody will know the truth if he hasn't told the truth about their figures.
It's like, hold on. I want to plead with my producers if they can give us some 5 extra minutes. We appreciate that the time is almost up, but because Doc joined us late and the conversation is getting exciting, and just because we understand what brought him in late, just with your permission, and if they will agree, you can then continue, and then we wrap up in the next 7 minutes.
My brother, it's like emailing me bank statements every month. And I realize that some things didn't add up. And I go for the originals from you, and they tell me, because you have been emailing me or sending monthly bank statement, there's no need for you to give. We'll get to court and the judge says that because you have been giving me, I should go and bring that monthly bank statement that have been bringing me, and that the bank has no responsibility at all to prove that the bank statement that is with them, that they are holding, is useful to my case. That is exactly what happened at the court. And that is an affront to justice.
You see, it looks a bit controversial, and that is where we bring in the role of Parliament. If you listen to the conversation after Baldwin was elected, many civil society organizations, governance analysts were suggesting that it's time that we move from the old narratives to a different narrative. And people are suggesting that they are still seeing that level of impunity, and I'm using it advisedly, speaking the minds of critics, that government's posture is not suggesting a regime that is learning from the past and going into the future with some compromises which will not see that level of arrogance, and I'm still using it advisedly, reflect in our day-to-day activity. And therefore, Parliament on the other side should be seen to be flexing its muscles to send a signal to government. Domolevo is one, and the other is with the appointment of the EC chair, and it is not new because David Kanga was also appointed by John Mahama after the 2013 petition. But the posture and what you send out there perhaps is informing your submission. Ghana at 64, still polarized and going forward. I think there is hope.
My brother, there can only be hope when we have the minds of a leader like President Atta Mills. A leader with that kind of mindset, which is, okay, let's go and let's think about Ghana. Let what has happened go. Let's start afresh and think about the interests of Ghana. If you have that kind of mindset, a leader with that kind of mindset, we can achieve. But with the current leadership, you see, the vindictiveness is so high. Intolerance is so high. Disrespect to the human. Because I'm here and they're not there, they are nobody.
Some would say, let me tell you, don't find anything exciting about let me tell you, and therefore let me tell you, conclude like this.
No, let me tell you. I watch all the nominees. Some previous appointees who have been re-nominated to be appointed. I'm telling you that a lot of the apologies they provided were just from full respect. They are not genuine apologies. You can see it from their eyes and the way they speak. How they speak, there's a level of some amount of arrogance in what they say. You see it. So that one should tell you that that kind of thing cannot help Ghana at 64 going forward for the right things to be done. It can help. But I expected that, oh, we are sorry. Trust, we will not do same again. And some remorse. Being sober in whatever they say.
Okay.
Some come out, immediately they come out, oh, okay. And then their comment afterwards tells you that the same situation.
Have you seen Hawa Kumsin's video?
I saw it.
Okay, we don't have much time. In fact, Dr. Ibrahim Zubairu is a senior lecturer at the Accra Technical University. I would have wished that he had joined us earlier. But I think we also enjoyed Joe Jackson of Dalex Finance, who also had some exciting conversation with us. In fact, Doc, I'll personally recommend that finds time to join us again. Doc, before you go, let me just read a few text messages to your hearing, maybe 3 or 4 of them, and then we can wrap up. Several of them have come in, but we don't have time. We've stolen other program as some time already. From Otumfuo, the convener of Crossfire Ghana, some young men died in the beach of the weekend. Has the ban on beaching and other stuff been lifted? I will just stop there. I won't read all the text messages in full. Abdul Basit Zongo, pioneer in Kumasi, says, greetings to my able Nana Akufo-Addo. And it goes on and says that the State of the Nation address will be the best of the NPP government. I'll read just bits and pieces of your text messages. This one says, good morning TVXYZ, Wazor TV. I'm so proud of you that you are making us proud again by being factual with whatever should be happening. This one says, good morning Eric. It's sad hearing about the death of these children. It's a shame to the authorities. From Dennis Andaban, the village boy from the Fiama, whatever Busi. And the last one here says, 64 years of watching sons and grandsons of middlemen enriching themselves in the name of the so-called politricks. People don't think Africa. And this one didn't really come with a name. Is this Chamsaldi now in Cape Verde sent this text message? It is time. Dr. Zabiru.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. We'll have a chat again.
Thank you, boss.
And this time, traffic won't beat you.
Sure.
On behalf of Nana Benasewa, I am Erica Nyanyo, and thanks to the production team. Meet you again tomorrow.